It's the first hit the hay in 2020.
Hey.
It's the 20s. Put on that swang music. Put on your
Swang.
Put on your top hats.
And swang.
Yeah. Welcome to Hit the Hay, everybody.
Where we're eating chips.
This is our ASMR channel. Glad you could be here.
We have done so many just random ASMR things on this channel.
You having fun, Emmett?
It's
You enjoying yourself?
if there's gonna be like another podcast that's gonna like in 20 years they're gonna do a wiki surf of the tall lanky guy wiki, and one of the tropes is gonna be
ASMR.
random ASMR bits.
Yeah. Random recurring ASMR gags.
Actually, moving into our first segment, there's an alternate universe where that's already happening.
Okay, so here's my thing. What if you're at a gathering of the alternate universe versions of yourself, right? For whatever reason. But it's clear you're not the main one. You know? Like how in like one of the Spider-Verse comics, like Spider-Man India was like, it's like, can't help but notice I'm the only one here who's from India.
Yeah.
You know? Can't help but notice that that's a little strange.
Which is
It's like, why the rest of you from New York?
Exactly.
But the thing is, like, if we're talking about infinite universes, then there are not just infinite New York versions of Spider-Man, but also infinite Indian versions of Spider-Man.
So why did only one show up?
Yeah, this is a
The
crisis
other
on
ones-
Infinite Earth. What are the rest of them doing?
The other ones couldn't make it.
Yeah, every other... Well, and here's the thing, though. It's clear that, yes, if we are in this multiverse scenario, there are truly infinite ones. But in any practical scenario, there's always a main one, you know?
Yeah.
There's always one who you can tell is, like, the main character of whatever this is, and all the rest are variations on that.
But the craziest part about that is that those quote-unquote main ones are only really decided on by the people in one particular universe.
Yeah, but it's like...
Like, none of the other Spider-Men can really say that they are the main Spider-Man. That was the whole thing in Into the Spider-Verse. Is like, everyone was like, I am the one and only Spider-Man. Until they met every other Spider-Man.
Frankly, Peter B. Parker was the Spider-Man of Spider-Man. But that's beside the point.
He was the Spider-Man in our Spider Hearts.
The Spider-Manliest.
Yeah. But I'm...
The most Spider-Man.
But so here's the thing. Like, but... The whole point, though, is that whenever we get one of these, let's get all the alternate versions of this character together, each one only has, like, 1 degree of separation from the main one, you know?
Yeah.
There's the main variation.
Hold up. Okay.
Yeah, so but here's the thing. There's always 1 degree of separation, right?
Right.
So it's always you're like the main one, except this.
Except, from India. And has, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's Spider-Man that's from India. Spider-Man that murders people. Spider-Man that does this. Spider-Man
that's a little girl from Japan with a mech.
Yeah, exactly. But there's usually pretty much...
Spider-Man, except he's not a man, he's a pig.
Yeah, there's usually more or less 1 degree of separation.
Spider-Man, but he's a girl.
But there's never, like... But there's very little overlap, you know? Like, there's not... Okay, maybe, like, Spider-Man's a bad example because they had, like, 3 Japanese Spider-Mans. Spider-Man.
Sure.
But, point being, in the usual, alternate versions, there's usually, like, a single variation that sets apart each one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, like, you go to this alternate universe meeting of yourselves, and, like, they all are set... And, like, the trait that sets you apart is, like, really weird. Because, like, maybe all the other ones just, like, don't know what hair is, and hair doesn't exist in their universes.
Oh, yeah.
So you become weird growths on your head, Sam, or whatever. And that's just how they identify you?
Right. I was saying this earlier, like, there's a version of me that lives in a world where the exact events of the movie yesterday have taken place.
Yeah.
In real life.
Like, there's a version of me that lives in a world where one day the Beatles ceased to have ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And there's a version of myself that lives in that world, but the movie is way better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like, I heard the movie wasn't, anything to run home about.
Yeah. There were good parts.
But here's the thing, though. What if you go and, like, and all the other alternate universes are like, is like, so wait, you think this guy's music was written by a bunch of weird British guys in the 60s?
Yeah. And then on the flip side, there's also the fact that, like, we could be the only universe that doesn't have this, like, one monumental band.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, people were like, well, yeah, obviously you have the Beatles, but you have, like...
The Flungos.
You have the Flungos, right? Like, what does music even sound like without the Flungos?
They influence so much.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, what does MCR sound like without the Flungos influence?
And now you're wondering, what does MCR sound like with the Flungos?
It's like you've never heard Trapezoid by the Flungos. That song has changed culture as we know it.
That's our universe's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Exactly.
But our universe also had Bohemian Rhapsody, but we had the Flungos too.
Just an entirely different
Dude,
song.
there's Bohemian Rhapsody featuring the Flungos.
Like, Bohemian Rhapsody just sort of seemed redundant in our universe.
Why do you really even need Bohemian Rhapsody when you have the Flungos? They already wrote the one song, The Sad Ballad of Sam Shepard.
What?
It's about...
The playwright?
The playwright. Or
in that universe, he wasn't a playwright.
He was a wizard.
Sure.
This is another scenario. Whereas, like, if you're the only one out of all of you in the infinite multiverse that's just normal, and, like, all the rest have, like...
Well, then you're clearly the main character, right?
Well, no, everybody else is, like, a superhero. And, like, off, like, with, like, crazy powers and doing things. But you're the only one that's just, like, some random dude. That's
you're the one with
the
boring timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but boring timeline you is almost, like, has a pretty good chance of being the main character. Because they're all variations on you.
You're the version that if they made a movie based off your life, your version is going to get nominated for Oscars. They're not going to nominate superhero you for Oscars.
This is a universe where they would.
Unless, of course, it's the version of you that turns out to be the Joker. But that's another conversation.
That's the version of you that lives in a society.
Oh, no.
Okay, so... Actually, I'd like to talk about the Oscars.
Sure. I was going to bring him up at some point anyway. How many of the nominated movies have you seen?
None. It's an elaborate marketing scheme.
You're right. But I've seen a bunch of the movies that are nominated, regardless of whether they were nominated. Although there were a couple that I saw because they've been nominated for a bunch. Like, that's why I saw 1917. Which is, admittedly, like, I was trying to get past my cynicism about the Oscars and see if it was actually just genuinely a really good movie. It is.
Yeah.
It's a stunning, very impressively made movie.
But even so, the people who made that movie likely gave, like, tens of thousands of dollars in gifts to the committee members anyway.
Possibly.
But that's pretty much what everyone does.
I also think that even without those gifts, I would agree that movie deserves at least a few Oscars.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I actually just wrote an article on this that'll be coming up in the upcoming Mars Hill.
Nice.
Which will probably be out by the time this podcast is. But sort of about how and why these movies keep getting selected that are primarily either created by a team of white males or feature primarily roles about white men.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it is actually a really sort of interesting process how they do it. Like,
well, it's just a bunch of randos who are at the Academy, and why does their opinion matter more than anyone else's? Yeah. They clearly can't predict what will have any cultural relevance.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're clearly not like the arbiters of the objective quality of art.
That is true. But I will say, I think there is some merit in the Academy being, artists working in the field who are really in the thick of creating, the sort of things that get nominated for Oscars.
Yeah.
These people nominated The Boss Baby for an Oscar.
Listen, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying...
And low-key, hate anything from Japan that's not Miyazaki.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it didn't... Because Weathering With You got nominated for an Oscar, and that's not Miyazaki.
Mm.
Also a beautiful movie.
I need to stop eating these chips.
I mean, animation specifically.
Yeah, animation specifically has sort of been like a weird nebulous category within the Oscars where it's like, Pixar again.
Except
Spider-Verse
for last
won.
year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like people are, like, learning to look beyond the horizon of Disney and are
But, it's like... Oh, so yeah, no, we didn't go with, Pixar again this year. We went with Sony,
Yeah.
Right. I'm just, baby steps.
Yeah, but it's still like... remember the year they released all those comments on, what people had written on the comment cards?
Yeah, I remember that.
No.
But it was a big thing, and it was for Best Animated Short,
Okay.
and all the comments were so stupid.
Yeah.
One person said, "I love dogs, so I voted for the one with a dog in it."
Oh, no.
Well, and the other person is like, a little bit of cursing, mind you. I'm going to censor it for our delicate audience. But it was like, what's with all these frickin' Chinese cartoons?
Oh,
Get them
no.
out of here. But here's the thing. There wasn't any cartoon from China that year. There was, I think it was one Japanese and one Irish.
Okay.
But they thought it was like an anime.
I don't know, man. But point being, and 90% of the ones for Best Animated Feature is I only saw this one because I watched it with my child.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was okay, it's clear that these people do not care at all about animation.
Right.
So why should they give out one of the most prestigious awards, for that field?
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. I do think in some cases for categories like, say, Best Actor, Best Actress, I think those are also important for actors to recognize the other actors within their field that are performing.
What is good acting? What is bad acting,
Well, if they're performing the role of a lifetime, then I think that should be recognized. However, I think that the way that the Academy's voting system works and the Academy's primarily white
we could just have a big old production that says, "Hey, movies are great, you should see films."
Well,
as just an annual gala where we say, hey, this sure is great, and maybe give out the occasional Lifetime Achievement Award or whatever.
I agree.
Without having it being a weird contest.
I agree.
No,
I do
fair.
think we need to stop trying to decide what art is objectively the best.
better than other things.
Yeah.
Well, and the way that the Academy's voting system works is very much...
Bribery.
They come up with a short list of their top 10... for Best Picture, they come up with a short list of their top 10 favorite movies, and everything with the nominee with the most Best Picture votes, as number one, whatever passes, it's a first past the post preferential ballot system.
Good old first past the post.
So if anything passes the magic number of votes that it needs for its first place, then it's automatically considered. It's automatically a nominee.
Yeah.
But then. The thing with the lowest gets crossed off, and if that's anybody's first one, then that gets crossed off, and their second choice is chosen to be,
right,
and so on and so forth until there's only about 9.
Yeah.
9 or 10. So that often, because a lot of people might choose a more varied and radical movies for their with a bit more of a diverse base to them, they might choose that as their top, but not everybody agrees with that. A lot of these movies that are, I think, equally deserving and equally as good get left off of the ballot because of, this system of voting.
Well, doesn't that just end up becoming the most middling movie of the year award?
Exactly. It becomes a very, that's why we see so many movies or, actors nominated that are playing roles that are, actors and directors and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's kind of like... It reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of high school, honestly, where like you've got the popular
Reese
kids.
Witherspoon, she's the prom queen. Bill Gates, captain of the chess team.
Yeah, exactly.
Bowling for soup.
Where okay, you've got this group of people who, no doubt, very talented people, like.
But they're not my dad. They can't objectively judge art.
Right.
Whereas your dad.
Like, here's the thing. Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt did a fantastic job in Once Upon a Time. Say what you will about the movie.
Their performances were good.
They were very good performances. Same with the guys in 1917.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me about Joker.
Yeah.
That's the conversation of like just acting really hard versus good acting.
I feel like Joaquin Phoenix is gonna win that award.
And you know, from what I hear, it's a good performance. But I think that kind of thing where he was literally starving himself, and like how he was falling over on set, and you know, there's a level of dedication where you become an inconvenience to everyone around you and hold up filming,
which has been,
and that shouldn't be held up as an ideal. That's unprofessional.
Which has been a serial problem in the role of the Joker so often. Like, Tom Hanks has this thing where he's like, you never hear people method acting for characters that were sweethearts.
Yeah.
The only time that people are talking about really, like, living the role is when they're kind of assholes.
Yeah.
Cough, cough, Jared Leto.
Exactly.
That was harassment.
Yeah.
That was like sending garbage and condoms and dead rats to his co-stars.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna talk about Heath Ledger because that's a whole other situation.
He just had his own issues. I wouldn't call that method acting.
No, neither would I.
He had his own problems.
I also heard. Did you see the link that Stephen Elkishin posted about the fight choreography in Joker?
No.
Basically, they just let Joaquin improvise fight choreo. Yeah.
That's a big friggin' oof right there.
All the fight directors basically told all the stuntmen, like, this is what we have planned, but be prepared to throw it all away.
Yeah.
When things happen.
No, thank you.
I'm gonna introduce y'all to my pal, Mark Hamill. He's not actually my pal. I don't know him. He's a famous actor and voice actor. Not the point. But the thing is, you know, he was able to play the Joker without being an asshole.
Yeah.
And he's one of the most beloved Jokers of all time, you know?
He's also one of the most beloved actors.
He's one of the most beloved of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Hamill. I like that guy.
What a stand-up guy. Mark Hamill, if you're
He's
listening.
pretty nice. You know?
Hi, Space Dad.
Yeah.
But point being is like, this is all totally unnecessary publicity stuff, you know? Giving rats to your co-stars does not make you a better actor.
No, it doesn't. It makes you a nightmare to whoever you're working with.
Although, apparently, I saw in one interview, and this was really weird, is that apparently Jared Leto being so terrible to everyone else constantly kind of caused the rest of the cast to sort of gel together, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
In sort of a weird way.
Which is fine, unless, of course, that actor is the main character.
Well, Joker was frankly barely in that film. But that's beside.
But apparently they still filmed enough to make their own Joker movie with unused footage from Suicide Squad.
Oh, no.
You guys never heard that?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, like they filmed enough stuff with Jared Leto for it to...
Oh,
and it just didn't get used in the movie. Like,
yeah.
It didn't get used in the final cut.
Oh,
and I get why he was upset, because that is kind of a waste of his time.
A little bit, yeah.
But on the other hand, Jared Leto. Okay, so here's the thing. Jared Leto has a cult, you know? I don't mean like a cult following. I mean people pay thousands of dollars to go to an island with him and follow him around while he wears a robe, grows out a beard, and preaches his wisdom.
Wow, that's a cult.
Yeah!
Welcome to our comedy podcast.
So what the hell is up with that? Why does Jared Leto, of all people, have a cult?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He just sort of does.
We should just...
Is there Jared Leto wiki?
Casting directors, if you're listening, and if you have the option to cast Jared Leto,
maybe don't.
Just don't do it and cast Jake Gyllenhaal instead.
Fair enough.
Jared Leto is discount Jake Gyllenhaal.
You're getting the same bang for your buck.
But here's
You're
the thing.
more bang for your buck.
This has happened to me like 3 times before it really stuck, and I was like, oh, hey, there's a Morbius movie. That's cool. I like Morbius, you know. He's a vampire who fights Spider-Man. That's all right. And then I look it up and it's like, oh, starring Jared Leto. And that happened to me like 3 times, and I forgot each time.
Wow. But yeah, anyway.
And apparently it's like made by Sony, but it's connected to the MCU, kind of, but not really.
You know, as in the same
like
way
Venom.
that...
Venom was absolutely not connected to the MCU.
No, it wasn't.
Venom.
But this will be connected to the MCU, kind of.
Yeah, so like in the same way that like the Spider-Man movies were. Because those were technically also done by Sony.
Well, no, those were real, true blue MCU movies. Though.
Yeah. But Sony still, like, owns the rights to Spider-Man.
But this isn't like a true blue Marvel movie. It's kind of halfway between Venom and Spider-Man in that sense.
Okay. So it's like, it's its own thing, but they're using...
But they're like making a few vague references to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So it's using the same
remember
source.
Tony Stark? My name is Jared Leto. I'm playing Morbius in this movie.
Boy, I do love
It
plasma.
just becomes this like postmodern, like absolute, like complete
That
gibberish.
is an absolutely spot-on Jared Leto.
It's like, hey guys, oh,
It's me,
Wow.
Jared Leto. I have a cult.
I used to make good music, but now it sounds like Imagine Dragons.
Oh, wow. Anyway, it's Oscars.
Seems like it's more than 30 seconds to Mars. Quite a few more seconds than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, regarding the Oscars, I also feel like this high school group of the popular kids, regardless of how talented they are,
Get cast in every show.
They have
not calling out anyone in particular. Not calling out anyone in particular I went to high school with. Emmett.
Stop. Let Connor finish his point.
is you got this in any high school clique. What they're gonna do is they're gonna form a very strong comfort zone. They're gonna cast the people that they feel comfortable working with, and they're gonna make the movies that they're comfortable making, and they're gonna watch the movies that they usually like to watch.
Which all happen to be about World War II.
Let me make my point.
Sorry.
This is possibly why horror films get snubbed from the Oscars.
Yeah.
We had so many amazing horror films this year, which could have been nominated for Best Directing, Best Screenplay, Best Acting, Best Cinematography. I mean, Lighthouse did get nominated for cinematography.
Yeah, and
but
it only got nominated for Best Cinematography.
Midsummer got nothing.
A crime.
Us got nothing.
A crime. Well, Us wasn't as good as Get Out.
No.
So, like,
but it was still...
I'm not as chapped about that one, but, like...
Why, it's almost as if
but I do
the
think...
Academy is full of ivory tower elitists.
This is what I'm saying. Also known as high school popular kids.
Yeah. Yeah, man. High school popular kids only watch movies about World War II.
Exactly. It was World War I in 1917.
Movies about actors and movies about World War I and II.
Yeah.
There was this...
Movies about war.
Wasn't there a game theory about, like, they calculated the perfect story for an Oscar, and it was like, there was this Jewish director during World War II.
And it's like, this will guarantee an Oscar win.
Wait. Isn't that Sam Wanamaker?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Was he?
I feel like Sam Wanamaker was, like, born in the 30s.
Right.
Well, mathematically, that sounds about right.
He would.
If you end up in World War II, which is...
He could have been a director in World War II. He would have just been this 11-year-old director running around. That's Sam.
That's Sam.
Anyway, point being, bunch of ivory tower elitists who tell us what art is.
Yeah.
Like,
and the problem is, to a certain extent, they do know what art is. There are a lot of really, really good movies nominated for some stuff.
Yeah.
But it's only a certain type of movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And the other movies that they used to fill the other spaces are not necessarily as, again, not necessarily as quote-unquote objectively good as some of the movies that they might not have wanted to go out and see.
Well,
movies that they snubbed.
That they missed out on.
Empire Strikes Back is taught in film schools today. And it's like one of the most influential films in terms of a lot of things. You know what movie won the Oscar that year? It was called Normal People.
Wow.
And it was some film. I don't know anything about it.
That gives me hope, honestly, for The Last Jedi. I liked The Last Jedi.
Yeah, really.
I don't think... Did you see it, Sam?
Yeah, and I was like...
I didn't.
It was a more or less serviceable cinematic experience for me.
There were some...
it was fine.
There were some, stunning wow moments. And I also really liked what Rian Johnson did with kind of the lore and themes.
Yeah.
Well, Rian Johnson didn't direct. Rian Johnson directed The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking Rise of Skywalker. No, I saw Last Jedi.
Man,
believe it or not, I actually like that as well. Like, I thought...
Maybe this is a spoiler, but they did Captain Pharasma, the metal stormtrooper. They kind of did her the dirty,
They did do
they absolutely did.
It's like, come on.
Like,
but I feel like that was also, I don't know. They did her dirty from the first one. From Force Awakens. They kind of established her as this big imposing figure, and then the first time that they hop onto the Starkiller base, they're just like, "Ha! We got you now!"
And oh no, looks like you got me. My name is Captain Phasma, and I'm on the Starkiller base. There was a piano note there for a second. I don't know where that came from.
That wasn't a piano. That was a ukulele.
Oh, Sam hit a ukulele. That was it. Oh, weird.
But then it was
but Captain Phasma is played by Jared Leto.
You didn't know he was me under the mask, but it was. Hey,
you thought I was a lady.
But here's the thing: is this truly? I read somewhere it's this is truly Boba Fett's legacy. Because Boba Fett just kind of stood there and looked cool and then got knocked into the Sarlacc.
Yeah, that's really it.
Thus giving us one of the most fantastic second-long clips where Luke is kicking a guy but there's 6 inches of air between his foot and the person's face.
Well, I would attribute that to the Force.
And then you just see Boba Fett just absolutely careening across the screen. And it's just everything ridiculous and kind of lovable about those movies in 1 second. Yeah. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about the Oscars, and I think it's about time.
This is a comedy podcast. We're all dying from global warming.
And it's time to start our lovely little wiki surf segment. Was it it was the second episode or the first episode that we did superheroes?
Second. It was the Superpower Wiki, and I think it was the second episode.
Well,
maybe the third?
Was it? Because second episode was Cryptid Wiki.
Oh, yeah.
Third episode was Superhero Wiki.
Yeah. No, there we go.
What was the second episode?
Cryptid.
Right.
The first episode we didn't have.
Oh, yeah, you're right. First episode we spent the whole time.
We just talked about the Cryptid Wiki.
Yeah.
We talked about the Cryptid Wiki, and we came up with a name.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cryptid Wiki, get your stuff together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, today we're looking at the Villains Wiki.
Yes.
Yep. Who claims to objectively judge fictional characters. No, it doesn't.
So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be combining... Each of us are going to get 2 real villains The real
which,
people
which
that
will use
live.
the random button.
They
Oh,
live
I
in the
got
world
Jared
right now.
Leto.
Hey, it's me, Jared Leto. I own a cult. I'm
Every
gonna bring him
page
to
on
my
the villain
private
wiki-
island. It's
every-
$6,000.
Every page on the villain wiki is just me over and over again. Oh, hey.
I am both Thanos and the Joker.
Wow. Oh no, I am inevitable. I am inevitable and we live in a society.
Oh no. Okay, so what
A small price to pay.
what we're gonna be doing is we're each gonna be given 2 villains. We're gonna combine them and create a new villain. We're gonna create their tragic backstory. We're gonna say what kind of superhero they fight against and what is their objective.
Yeah, what do they want to get out of their villain?
sense.
Yeah. What's
All I want is a degree.
what's their motivation? So I'm gonna get
Gotta
started.
use some action verbs.
Yeah.
Alright.
Some tactics. Hit that random page. So my first one is Sue Miley, also known as the Laughing Doll, is the main antagonist in the first chapter of the RPG Maker game Your Turn to Die.
Oh yes, everybody's
Cool.
favorite thing
This
that
is-
they've all heard of.
We're starting off with a deep cut,
Oh
y'all.
yeah, this wiki goes deep.
She is the first member of the organization to contact the participants of the death game directly, acting as the floor master of the first floor.
Is this Danganronpa an RPG Maker?
This is a really interesting design. She's got a very pale face,
Heterochromia.
heterochromia, so like
A
one,
mustard crown.
yeah,
Yeah, she's sort of got like a hot dog vibe going. If you really ask.
it's like hot dog plus.
It's like a whole wheat bun hot dog because it's very much a deep brown hair.
It's like a hot dog aesthetic plus Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club
Yeah.
Wait, no, I just
dressed
thought
up
of
in like ball gown attire.
I'm about to drop a subculture on you.
Okay.
And I'm gonna create this from whole cloth. Hot dog core.
Oh no!
And that's like, it's a style where you're like deliberately emulating like condiments and stuff.
Oh,
And you have
no.
and it's a very specific aesthetic. And I think this character is nailing hot dog
Yeah,
core.
like honestly, just those colors. Like she's got like a ketchup red on her,
Yeah.
sort of like the bottom of her dress, and then
The-
yellow gloves, and then mustard crown.
The
which
bottom
I
of
think-
her, I don't know what you call that.
corset.
Yeah, the bottom of her corset
Well, that's
is
more
like
jam.
melting,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of like
chocolate.
well, it's sort of like a very brown hot dog too. Like,
Chocolate, or if we're going with hot dog aesthetic, you could say it's barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
the frick puts barbecue sauce on a hot dog?
Cineplex has our barbecue pulled pork hot dog available at Outtakes.
It's like, with all due respects, I feel like ordering a hot dog from Cineplex is ordering food poison. Just straight up.
Listen. Well,
I
first
feel
of
like
all,
ordering
It's
a
like,
hot
I
dog.
would like to order.
first of all, you're
order
not
a
wrong.
you know, 2
But
hours
secondly,
on the toilet, please.
But secondly, I have ordered hot dogs at Cineplex. But if food poisoning could have killed me, it would have done so a long time before that.
We're trying our best.
It's like
Okay.
scary.
I'm gonna try and see if I can.
Yeah, what are her
Find
powers?
out.
What does
So
she
this
do?
is a hot dog core aesthetic character.
hot dog core.
But we're having some discourse in the hot dog core aesthetic fandom between whether barbecue sauce counts as hot dog
Okay.
core.
So, her occupation is floor master. Powers and skills include intimidation and control over the facility's weapons.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
intimidation, like sure.
So this is Monokuma from Danganronpa.
Yeah, so you're a floor boss essentially. You've got a
Yeah.
lair and you can kind of control it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're also like doing some Hunger Games stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
Okay,
got that.
so we've. I think
Does
we've
it
got
say
the
what she does
vibe.
to control her floor, or
Presumably
she
press
controls
buttons.
the facility's weapons.
oh, okay,
Presumably
so,
with buttons.
like
and
are
stuff.
they like machine guns, or is it like spikes that come out?
She is finally stopped when she is hit in the head by Kai Satu using his frying pan.
Ah,
Well, that's
absolute-
one way to stop them.
absolute Chad Kai.
That's
Satu.
true hot dog core right there.
Yeah, it's like gotta get the frying
All
pan
right.
out. Who boils a hot dog?
All right, so we got
Lots
Sue
of
Miley.
people do.
I know.
And the second one is Pris from
Oh, that's from
Oh,
Blade
from
Runner.
Blade Runner.
I remember her.
right.
I don't
She had
know.
kind of a Harley Quinn vibe.
Yeah, was she
Okay.
the one that died?
She was. She
I
did
don't know.
die, like all the replicants.
Powers
Except
and
for the main
skills
two
include
characters.
guile, acrobatics, charm, and seduction.
Don't we all?
So I feel like this still fits into our hot dog.
Her occupation. Oh, she's a pleasure unit.
Aren't we
yeah,
all?
yeah. She was the one. I remember
Yeah,
that.
no,
scene.
she was a robot.
Because that was
Oh,
one of
wait.
like the big like emotional scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Where
Her
it's
goal is to extend her life and the lives of her companions. I didn't check the goal of Sue Miley. Make sure that the main game proceeds accordingly.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
Monokuma
Okay.
from Danganronpa.
yes, because we all know that reference.
Okay. And she's a bioengineered femme fatale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
hot dog.
what? What is?
Hot dogs are bioengineered.
Well, yeah, but I don't feel like this character truly is hot dog core.
yeah.
Oh
No.
man, now I'm gatekeeping
This
hot
is-
dog core.
So, alright. Let's see what we can do here. The villain that I'm thinking of started out as a fry cook. That's her day job.
Okay.
In her off time, she does take on this sort of goth aesthetic.
Fair enough.
But eventually, she just gets so overwhelmed at work with all these hot dogs that she needs to make that she just goes nuts. You know? And suddenly she decides, screw it, I'm gonna pull these like boiling hot dogs and just start throwing them at people.
Okay, I can
And then-
relate.
And yeah, I'm
Is that-
completely scrapping the actual like lore of the last girl. I'm just going with the hot dog aesthetic.
Yeah.
And so she fights against the Burger King.
Ah, yes.
Naturally.
She plans to topple his monarchy.
So
and
does she
establish
beca-
herself
Does she
as
need to become a robot because she gets a lot of burns from all that boiling water?
Yes. Yeah, she has to mechanically like renew herself in order to withstand the acidity and heat of the hot dogs that she wields.
Okay.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
I can relate.
And her name
I see a little bit of myself in this villain.
is the Queenie with a Weenie.
Oh God, no!
No! Why did you do that?
Please, anything but this. See, I feel like that has other implications.
Yeah. I know, but please just take it as at face value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well that was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay,
Connor. All right,
Okay. Oh, my
time
turn?
for an
Yeah.
epic boy.
All right. All right. Where is the sweet?
It's
sweet
exactly
Score.
the same place it is on every
Scroll
single
up.
wiki that's ever been, Emmett.
Scroll.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, found it. Yep. No. Oh, shoot.
Okay, so I got Ricardo Diaz from the Arrowverse.
Oh.
Let's see.
I don't.
Like this is from like
I haven't watched Arrow in a really
Yeah,
long
same.
time.
so he looks
Oh,
like some
from
regular
Arrow.
ass guy.
Dude.
They've got a quote from him here. You made some moves, and then I made some moves. Queen is under indictment now. His team is fractured in a million pieces in this city. This city, it's primed for takeover. See, guys like you can never understand these things. Why destroy a city when you can take it over?
I chuckle a little bit knowing about the production of Arrow, knowing that the city he's talking about is Vancouver.
Yeah, I know.
They
So-
like to make it look like it's New York, but we know.
Yeah. So Ricardo Diaz, known as the Dragon, is a major antagonist in the TV series Arrow.
Is that Richard Dragon? I feel like Richard Dragon is a DC Comics character.
Yeah, I think so. So he's a main antagonist of season 6, which is actually where I dropped off. I think was like
Okay.
I stopped watching it like season 5 or something like that.
Okay.
And then the first half of season 7, and later a major antagonist in its second half.
He looks like a well put together Punisher.
Sort of. And then he was a posthumous antagonist of season 8. So I guess that's a spoiler. Sorry, guys. I guess if any of you are watching Arrow.
Any of you Arrow stands?
He's a ruthless criminal, drug kingpin, criminal
The
mastermind.
Kingpin?
Plot to take over the whole city. Also, the Arrowverse adaptation of Richard Dragon. So
Okay. Oh yeah.
Our boy Richie D.
does this guy have any powers?
I think
Uh,
he just
well,
punches people.
He wants to take over a city. Powers, skills. Master martial artist, knives expertise, firearm expertise, master of manipulations, expert strategist, enhanced strength, drug resistance, intimidation, multilingualism.
Wow.
My superpower! I can
So
speak
he's-
multiple languages.
So he's a super
Oh
soldier.
no, he'll talk at us in French.
So he's a member of a whole lot of things. Drug kingpin, member of Ghost Initiative, leader of the Quadrant, formerly ally of the Longbow Hunters, formerly member of Caden James Cabal, formerly member of the Scorpions, formerly Central City Police Department officer, altered reality, formerly.
What?
Can't keep a job.
The man's got a resume.
Okay, so crimes, mass murder, bribery, conspiracy, terrorism, drug trafficking, incrimination, forgery, kidnapping, blackmail, mutilation, torture, abuse, mass destruction, robbery, usurpation, organized crime, citywide corruption, and attempted genocide. Holy
Wow!
shit. This guy is like,
That's a
That
rap
was a
sheet.
well-paced list.
yeah. That's
So
certainly a
okay,
lot.
but so here's a quick interlude. On in Cats, it said that McCavity had broken every human law.
So did this guy.
Why are we bringing cats into this?
No, but that means McCavity attempted genocide. McCavity committed tax fraud. McCavity, did every crime.
Well, so this guy, he's a drug kingpin. He's got some super strength, apparently. After injecting himself with a serum, he is now stronger than a normal human, demonstrated being able to put a huge dent into a concrete wall with a light punch, and
Wow.
left a full-grown man with ease. And he also displayed an apparent immunity to drugs.
Wow.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm immune to cocaine.
Exactly.
Sam, sit down on
Watch
the couch
this.
so that you're closer to the mic.
And I'm closer to the two of you emotionally.
Exactly.
So that's Ricardo Diaz. And then, oh wow. Medicine Melancholy.
What? Let me see.
It's like some anime, like,
It's some anime girl.
Debuting in Phantasmagorica Flower.
Okay.
Flower View.
Phantasmagoria of Flower View. Character, okay, from Toho Project.
Toho.
Toho. Project.
Toho?
I don't know. She is a doll yokai that lives on Nameless Hill, surrounded by poisonous Surazan, Lily of the Valley flowers.
You could not have picked two more different characters.
This is why I was looking forward to this.
In her debut, she attacks a player with the flower's poison for no apparent reason other than they happen to be in her field.
Wow.
Because some of her
Medicine?
attacks, some of her attacks create clouds of poison, which cloud the player's side of the player's side of the field, which slow the player's movements and making dodging difficult. She can be a
Oh, no.
very
You were in
troublesome
medical
opponent.
school with me. You must die.
Though supposedly not especially powerful or experienced among yokai, the fact that the right poison can affect even very strong people or large numbers of people at once makes her best somewhat avoided. Her root in POFV implies she's getting stronger with poisons and abilities due to dialogue, making even Yuka Kazami tear up if defeated.
Wow, even him?
Even Yuka Kazami?
Can you believe it?
So
Wow.
She's apparently like a
Weird
So,
poison demon.
a
Yeah,
poison
no, I get you.
doll.
Poison doll.
But she's a yokai, which
And-
is kind of like an evil spirit.
Poison demon doll.
Looking at this list here, powers, so manipulation of all kinds of poison, immortality,
Wow.
manipulating people with poison, hobby poisoning humans, rambling
Fair.
about toxins and their effects,
No, I can relate to this character, yeah.
causing havoc on others, creating poison. Goals: have vengeance on humanity and liberate dolls.
Interesting.
Fair enough.
Crimes: genocide and terrorizing others. Type of
Okay.
villain: misanthrope, possessed object,
She
yokai.
and Richard have a few.
Yeah,
you know,
so like they can sort of convene on the whole genocide.
exactly. Genocide and I guess Ricardo had some
But wait,
sort of poison.
Ricardo,
skills, didn't
no,
he?
Ricardo was a drug guy.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
he took a serum that made him super strong, but then
Yeah.
was immune to drugs.
But he's also like a drug dealer.
But he's also deals drugs. So I think my superhero is going to be, so instead of an anime girl doll, it's going to be like a doll, but of like, this fully grown man.
Like a full size porcelain man.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
And so basically, yes, he's super strong and cool. And
And he shoots
Super strong and
drugs
cool,
from his
super
eyes.
strong and cool.
And so like, he sort of can have poisons and stuff like that he can use through his magical yokai abilities.
Wow.
And sort of like he undergoes like a magical girl transformation into just a
Of course he does.
into just a normal guy. So that looks like a normal guy, but it's just like an evil normal guy.
But wait,
He doesn't even change suits when he transforms. It's
does
just
he
like porcelain
does he
to
punch
not
people
porcelain.
with poison?
He does, as a matter of fact.
punch with the
People
poison.
I feel like that's a reference to something that I should know.
Not for me.
Punch
He
with poison.
creates a 5-finger death punch?
I don't know. Regardless, and I think the kind of guy that this poison genocide man would fight. That's his name, by the way. Is Poison Genocide Man.
Cool.
He fights. He actually. He fights.
Humanity as a whole.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like he's one of those like.
Man against
One of
society
those
sort of
threats
deals.
that's like you need a whole like a team of Avengers to deal with this guy.
Now this is an Avengers level threat.
This is an Avengers level threat, and they don't have that hard of a time with him. It's just like one hero on their own might have a difficult time, but you get like 3 or
It's
4.
like the
it's
Scorpion?
Ian Pickens.
It's like the Scorpion where it's like, oh, it's a Scorpion versus Spider-Man. Oh, is he gonna do it? But if you bred the Avengers versus the Scorpion and be like, oh yeah, this guy has a tail.
Yeah, exactly.
That's neat.
It's sort of that sort of a situation where it's like one person would have a really hard time, but you get your whole Avengers, you get your Justice League in there, and it's like easy pick.
He's the most frustrating type of villain because then you gotta get everyone together. You gotta coordinate.
Finding the party
schedules.
balance is just a pain in the ass. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's his real villainy is having to
Is
cause some scheduling.
What's
issues.
his tragic backstory?
His tragic backstory is that one day he was sitting on a field and then started doing drugs and they didn't work, so he decided to poison everybody.
Nice.
That's it.
The alternate
That's
ending
pretty
to
relatable.
Midsommar.
Yeah.
That's pretty relatable. No, I get that.
Cool.
That's-
All right.
I see a dark mirror of myself in this
I
villain.
don't even remember what I said. His name was Poison.
Poison Genocide
Man. And people will idolize him and make him their profile pic.
Yeah, he's a real Joker type. Like he even says at one point, "We live in a civilization," which is sort of adjacent to "we live in a
Yeah.
society."
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
All right,
All right,
first
That's
one.
my cool and sexy villain.
John Kresge.
From
He's a Wendigo from...
what?
John Krasinski?
No, Kresge. What's he from?
That's the guy in the office. That's
He
What?
kills people and eats them. Yeah, but what's he from? Is this
It says no in the first couple of sentences.
Is
It
this
doesn't.
Teen Wolf or is this Buffy?
He was in the show Grimm.
Oh, he's from Grimm. Okay.
Yeah, Grimm, whatever that is.
No, it's like I've never seen it, but it's sort of
Yeah,
like
just use
kind
the
of
arrow
Buffy
keys.
esque.
Sounds grim, huh?
Okay. So
Oh,
that
wow.
guy, he's a Wendigo. He eats people. Oh, cool! A character from Fairy Tale.
Yeah.
Oh, cool! That's worse One Piece.
His name is Jackal.
And he's a bad man. Let me tell you.
Cool boy.
I'm a demon, the most perfectly powerful creature there is. Human beings are like cockroaches to my kind. Easy to kill.
Easy to kill.
So you've got a
so
guy
he-
from Grimm and a guy from Fairy Tale, which I think are tangentially related.
Yeah.
In name, fairy
Yeah.
tales actually just a not very good anime.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's a member of the 9 Demon Gates and a member of Tartarus.
Same.
Cool.
Neat.
So is
Powers
my
and
guy.
skills. Bomb curse. I like that. Aetherius form. Expertise in infiltration. Superhuman durability. Superhuman reflexes. Fang. Hobby. Blowing things up.
Oh.
Destroying things. Killing members of the Magic Council.
Classic.
There's only so many of those that you can have that be
Yeah.
your hobby. Goals. Destroy the Magic Council. Spoilers. He succeeded. Good for him.
There goes that hobby.
It's like, you know, I spent so long just chasing after this one thing, and now that it's over, I don't know what to do with myself.
Track down and eliminate all council members, both current and former. Succeeded.
Nice.
Destroy Fairy Tale, the organization. Failed.
Oh.
He was on such a
Yeah,
hot
he got a
streak.
These are
little
some-
too hoisted by his own petard.
Activate face to eliminate all magic, if not the continent.
Wow.
Failed.
These are some heavy fairy tale spoilers right now.
Activate the curse power and revive the END. Failed.
Wow.
Crimes, destruction, arson, murder, torture, terrorism, serial homicide, attempted destruction, and manipulation.
At least genocide's not on that list.
Yeah.
Well, he tried to blow up a whole continent. That's something. Type of villain, demonic serial killer.
Nice.
Fun guy. So he's like an ethereal demon boy.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we didn't
And then
really
we got
learn
the
that
guy
much
who
about
was-
our Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of information there. Wait, let's...
So his name is Jackal.
Yeah, we just hit
And the
back.
guy before that, what was the guy before that
He
name?
was Dresky.
Right.
John
And his Aetherius form just looks like a werewolf.
Yeah.
I
Just a
I
giant-
assumed it would be ethereal. What happens when I click on Aetherius? What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's
It's a
you
hostile
Ethereal?
species.
a race of demons.
You can't be Ethereus.
Primary,
We can't be Ethereal about
17 of them. Cool. Okay, so no, he's just a big old demon boy, and he likes to blow things up. I can relate.
Nice.
Okay, now
I'm concerned by how many times you've said that during this segment.
don't worry about it.
So the Wendigo with the bomb curse.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, so he doesn't employ magic, curse describes as above magic, yeah, whatever. Heat-based explosions, effortlessly generating blasts, and destroying entire
Sparky
town.
Sparky Boom Man.
Yeah, no, he's an
Sparky,
exploding... So he's an exploding werewolf,
Yeah.
demon, boy.
Saying like a exploding werewolf sounds like the most terrifying thing ever. It's like oh
Well-
god, it's a werewolf! Oh god, he's exploding! Holy crap!
Why
It's
did we get
concerning in
Jared-
an entirely different way.
I would have been scared if it was just one of these things, but both.
But so, our character is,
What's his name?
his name is Cannibal Exploding Werewolf.
Nice.
Wait, but no, semicolon, the revenge.
Oh no!
So he's like, you know, one of those guys where it's like he wins by basically having the other person say his name when he arrives. It's like, oh no, it's the exploding werewolf. It's like it takes so long that
It's
already
Cannibal Exploding Werewolf, the revenge.
The main character, like, starts talking about him in code, and then a side character who's new to the situation just says his name. The protagonist is like, damn it!
Yeah, but so essentially, this guy, he was the lead singer for a heavy metal band, which explains his naming conventions.
Okay.
Or it could be just like a, you know, like a mid-2000s pop punk band.
He's metal. I think an exploding werewolf is pretty
That is
metal.
pretty metal, dude.
Cannibal Exploding Werewolf is pretty
That's
metal.
Metal as frick.
Yeah, so this guy, on the same night, or no, he was in like a cursed Canadian forest, right? As you do. And he was bitten by a werewolf. And then he was like, well, werewolf now, time to go do some werewolf stuff. So he goes and he eats some people. Whoopsies, now he's a Wendigo.
Shoot, dude.
Oh no, he's an exploding werewolf that's also a Wendigo.
Ain't that just the way?
Yeah.
Of course, I told myself it couldn't get any worse than just an exploding werewolf, but he's
Yeah.
around to go too.
Even worse, I'm Jared Leto now.
No.
And
How
like
did this
that's the
happen?
thing is like so he's even more driven to cannibalism than your regular werewolf.
Then your standard
For some
cannibal.
reason, I was thinking like then you're regular Jared Leto.
Like a regular Jared Leto. But he does have kind of a spirit exploding werewolf a little bit. But he's mostly just an exploding cannibalistic werewolf.
Well, you know.
And he just sort of and not just be the way that he do.
Yeah, really.
Like it's not even like he's not working towards a goal. He's just being who he is.
Yeah.
He's living his life.
That is how
And,
the
you know, it's
exploding werewolf do.
If he destroys the Magic Council and the continent, then so be it. It happens. Like, you know, I'm not trying, but that's just the way that it goes.
That's the way the biscotti crumbles, man.
Yeah.
And this guy, he just sort of like he's not quite a wild animal, but he's like almost like a mountain man, you know? He's just out there doing his own thing. And if you happen to come across him, maybe he'll eat you, just
Yeah,
like a mountain
right.
man. But
Just
it'll blow
like
you
a
up
mountain
first.
man.
It'll slurp you up.
Also, I sort of like how all of our villains were like one like random person from like some live action TV show, and then just some like anime / RPG maker
Yeah.
type of character.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah. So yeah, cannibalistic exploding werewolf, the revenge.
Yeah.
And who could possibly fight this entity? I like to think it's like
Spider-Man?
no, it's kind of like
He'd give it a shot.
well, this is kind of like a Buffy-esque kind of a
Oh,
show, I
yeah.
think,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like there's our team of plucky heroes,
Right.
and they all get exploded and eaten because you just can't deal with this guy. Like he wins.
You
There's
think-
no way that he couldn't.
You think this is some sort of
He's
gritty...
got all of his bases covered. He's cannibalistic, he's a werewolf, and he explodes.
You think this is some sort of gritty, self-serious, like, superhero story? When no, it's an absurdist comedy.
Because like
Yeah.
he just like, but
He
but
just
then we go
freaking
from there. We're like
explodes.
following this like Buffy the Vampire-esque cast of like badass monster hunters, and then they come up and then like in 20 minutes in they're up against him. And you're like, wait, what's going on here? This seems like the final confrontation, and he just straight up kills them, like all of them.
Yeah.
He wins. It's hardly a contest. And then from then on, it becomes like this weird mockumentary about this exploding cannibal werewolf.
Wow. We've done some good
But
work
maybe like
today.
the first like 20 minutes of that is like found footage with this demon hunting team, and the rest is like a mockumentary.
Yeah.
We've done God's work,
We
boys.
really did. We really did. This is some good content, y'all.
So we have
What was yours?
sexy poison
Oh,
genocide.
Poison Genocide
Who's
Man.
cool and sexy.
Queenie with a weenie.
Oh god.
Don't. And cannibalistic exploding werewolf.
The revenge.
The revenge.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's figure out a different name for my character then.
I feel like it's
We're-
too late at this point. We're too far gone.
Okay. Then
The Bunisher.
but she's a hot dog base.
And hot dogs go in buns.
Yeah, but sometimes she doesn't have buns. Those are like a loot drop.
What?
Alright, I think we should just leave this one be, lads.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much for listening. It's nice to be able to do this again.
Yeah.
Now that things are like starting to get into more of a streamlined
Yep.
schedule,
Yes and no.
somewhat kind of.
And remember, kids, leave out a small saucer of human blood for the cannibalistic explosive werewolf, and he might spare you.
And while you're at it, like, comment, and subscribe.
Or you might just get a taste for your blood and want more.
Yeah.
You know, these are both options.
Yeah.
It's a gamble.
Yeah. If you liked it, there's a button for that.
Yeah.
If you have
Bell.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. I always get to that at some point.
Fair enough.
If you got ideas for a wiki for us to surf or other topics for us to explore, leave those in the comments. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed, there's also a button for that. And if you haven't rung the bell, that's a thing you can also do. We'll see you later.